We had forgotten our own culture. We had forgotten our own religion, and people were uneducated. India was then regarded as country of savages, country with people of blind faith, country of snake charmers, and majority of the people suffered from extreme poverty and ignorance. So that was the state of India at that time, and that is how world was looking at India. And Swami Vivekananda, after going to the West for that famous Chicago Parliament of Religions, everything changed. So that is what we are going to show. So Swami Vivekananda, in fact, was the fountainhead of cultural renaissance in India. That is how Swami Vivekananda really awakened India to its own past glory. Now, Swami Vivekananda, he was son of a very great person, Vishwanath Datta. Vishwanath Datta was a great advocate in Calcutta at that time, in Calcutta High Court, and as his name was Vishwanath, he was really a true friend of the world itself. He used to help all poor, downtrodden, and many times he used to borrow money in order to help the poor and the other needy people. And this tendency of giving, which was there in Swami Vivekananda later on, who was known as Narendranath Datta at that time, Narendra. Actually, his cradle name was Vireshwar, but most popular name was Narendra. So Narendra's father was Vishwanath Datta, and he was really a very highly philanthropic type of person. And because he was advocate in Calcutta High Court, he used to go to the court in a coach. You know, this हॉर्स कार्ट्स, घोड़ा गाड़ी जिसको हम बताते हैं, उसको कोच बताते थे, उसे बग्गी विक्टोरिया बताते थे उस समय, जो घोड़ा गाड़ी होती थी उनको। और घोड़ा गाड़ी का जो चालक होता था उसको कोचवान बताते थे उस समय, सो कोचवान। So young Narendra was very much fascinated by this coachwan, and anybody would come to their house and ask that. Generally people, the guests, when they arrive at your house, if there are small children, they ask, what would you like to become when you are old, or when you grow? Invariably Narendra will say that I want to become a coachwan. मुझे ये कोचवान बनना है, ऐसा नरेंद्र उस समय कहता था. And his mother, whose name was Bhuvaneshwari Devi, she was also a very pious lady, Bhuvaneshwari Devi. So she listened to this many times, that Narendra wants to become a coachwan. And one day she took his hand and took him to the hall, his own house hall, in which there was a very huge picture of Shri Krishna sitting in the chariot advising Arjuna as a Partha Sarathi. So his chariot was between the two armies, and he was actually, that is how the Gita was told to Partha. And so his mother, Bhuvaneshwari Devi, he told Narendra that, look, you want to become coachwan, you should become coachwan like him. You should become Partha Sarathi. And that is how the values were inculcated in young Vivekananda's mind, because she used to tell many stories from Ramayana, Mahabharata, and all that. So the cultural basis of Swami Vivekananda, Narendranath Datta, was from his mother as well as from his father. And then as he grew, he was a very brilliant student, and therefore he got admission into the Presidency College in Calcutta, and then he was a first-class graduate. Very few graduates were there at that time in India. So He was a first class graduate in Presidency College, and he had learned the Indian as well as Western philosophy very well, very well acquainted with all the philosophy. In India, the name for philosophy, darshana, we have the very beautiful word for philosophy as darshana. जो तत्वज्ञान होता है उसके दर्शन ऐसा कहा जाता है भारत में. सो वेदांत दर्शन, न्याय दर्शन, वैशेषिक दर्शन, षड दर्शन, 6 systems of philosophy, they are known as darshana. And this word darshana means something which makes you see and experience the reality is known as darshana. दर्शन वो चीज है जो आपको सत्य का दर्शन कराता है, सत्य का साक्षात्कार कराता है, उसी को दर्शन बोलते हैं. तो ऐसे दर्शनों का अभ्यास करने के बाद नरेंद्र को ऐसा लगा कि ये सब बहुत अच्छा लगता है. वेदांत दर्शन इज सो लॉफ्टी, ऑल दोस फिलॉसफीज आर सो लॉफ्टी, बट इज इट रियली पॉसिबल टू सी गॉड? Is there any person who has seen God really, actually experienced God? क्या कोई ऐसा मनुष्य है कि जिसको परमेश्वर का साक्षात्कार हुआ है? ये दर्शन तो पढ़ने में बहुत अच्छे लगते हैं, वेदांत दर्शन तो कितना अच्छा लगता है. लेकिन क्या ऐसा कोई पुरुष है कि जिसने परमेश्वर का साक्षात्कार किया है? या ऐसी सुंदर कल्पना है ईश्वर जो हमारी मदद करता है, जो करुणामय है, जिसकी प्रार्थना हम कर सकते हैं? क्या केवल ये कल्पना है या ईश्वर ये सत्य है जिसका दर्शन हो सकता है? So that was the question which troubled young Narendra, who was a very brilliant student in the college, and therefore he went on asking this question to all great people. And at that time Calcutta was very rich as well as the great thinkers are concerned. Many great thinkers were there at that time. There was this Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, who has established Prarthana Samaj, very great institute. He was a reformer. Then Keshav Chandra Sen, who has established Brahmo Samaj, another highly philosophical institute, and they were reformers because they saw something wrong in our religion. There was a lot of ritualism in our religion. There was a lot of blind faith in our religion. So that is how Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar or Keshav Chandra Sen, they established new institutions to give a new angle to the reality in the young people, educated people who were drifting towards the West at that time. The few people who were highly educated, they were really looking at the West for knowledge. So for them, these institutions were there. So, and then there was a great Devendranath Tagore at that time, who was father of Rabindranath Tagore. Devendranath Tagore was also regarded as authority on the Vedas and the Upanishads. So Narendra met all these great people, Michael Madhusudan Datta. Galaxy of very great thinkers were there at that time in Calcutta. So he met each and every one. And the one question he would ask is, have you seen God? Have you the experience of God? Okay, so that was the general question which he will ask each and every one of them. And Devendranath Tagore, he used to live in a boat house. There was a huge lake in Calcutta, it's still there. And in a boat house, he used to meditate for long hours. He used to stay in the boat house itself. So once Narendra, in the midnight, he swam in the lake and reached the boat house. He just went inside, he opened the door without any introduction or anything. Devendranath Tagore was just sitting in meditation at that time. He opened his eyes and smiled at this young boy. And suddenly he asked him that, have you seen God? So Devendranath Tagore smiled and he said that, Naren, your eyes are that of a yogi. I can see that you can experience God after some time. But Narendranath, he was not satisfied with that answer. He had not gone there for blessings. He wanted to know if there is a person who has actually seen God, you know. And as it would happen, his own professor, Professor Hesty, who used to teach them the English language, Professor Hesty once in their class, he was teaching a poem from Wordsworth, very famous poem known as Excursion. Okay. And in that poem, Wordsworth talks about trance. वो जो वर्ड्सवर्थ की कविता है एक्सकर्शन नाम की, उसमें वर्ड्सवर्थ ने अतीन्द्रिय अनुभूति के बारे में बताया है, जिसको हम समाधि कहते हैं, अंग्रेजी में उसको ट्रांस कहते हैं। तो समाधि का वर्णन उस कविता में है जो प्रोफेसर एसटी सिखा रहे थे उनके वर्ग में। And then Professor St told that of course because it is beyond the senses, क्योंकि ये अतीन्द्रिय अनुभव है, इसका वर्णन करना तो अशक्य ही है। You can't really experience, ये तो अनिर्वचनीय सत्य है, उसको बता ही नहीं सकते। But if you want to know what is trance, you can go to Dakshineshwar, and there is a sadhu who lives there, and his name is Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, and he goes into trance many times. So if you want to know the real meaning of trance, go to Dakshineshwar. That is what Professor H.T. told, and that is how Narendra went to Dakshineshwar to see Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. And when when he came to Dakshineshwar and saw Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa smiled at him, and he told him that, oh, where were you all the time? I was waiting for you for such a long time. Why it took so long for you to reach here? कितने दिन के मैं आपका इंतजार कर रहा था. But Narendra was not interested in all these kind words and all that. Again, without any introduction, without anything, he simply asked him, have you seen God? The question, direct question. Okay, have you seen God? क्या आपने ईश्वर को देखा है? क्या आपने ईश्वर का साक्षात्कार किया है? एक ही प्रश्न. And then it was that time that Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa told Narendra that yes, I have seen God. Then he said, I see God just as I see you. मैंने परमेश्वर को देखा है, जैसा मैं तुम्हें देख रहा हूं, ऐसा ही मैं परमेश्वर को देखता हूं. And then for a moment he stopped and they said that no, that's not true. I can't see you as clearly as I see God. फिर थोड़ा सा रुकने के बाद रामकृष्ण परमहंस क्या बोले कि नहीं, मैंने ये ठीक नहीं कहा, क्योंकि तुम मुझे इतनी अच्छी तरह से नहीं दिखते जितना परमेश्वर मुझे दिखाई दे रहा है. And a sort of electric current passed through Narendra's spinal column. Here was a man who was telling him that he has seen God. And he started going to Dakshineshwar. And he saw what is trance at that time, because Swami Vivekananda was an extremely good singer, and he used to play mridungam as well. And so when he would go to Dakshineshwar, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa will tell him to sing a bhajan for Kalima and any bhajan. And when Swamiji will, he was not Swamiji at that time, he was only Narendra. When he will sing bhajan, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to go to trance. Okay. But then Narendra did not accept Ramakrishna Paramahamsa as a guru at once. This is another lesson which he gives through his own life, not to believe in anything blindly. जो कुछ आपकी खुद की अनुभूति पर ही आपका विश्वास होना चाहिए. ऐसा नहीं कहीं सुनी बात पर विश्वास नहीं होना चाहिए. You should accept something only when you experience it. हम लोग ऐसा सुनते हैं कि पुराने जमाने में जब शिष्य गुरु के सामने आता था तो शिष्य बहुत सारी परीक्षाएं लेता था गुरु का, और अगर वो परीक्षा में पास हो गया तो उसको शिष्य के रूप में दीक्षा देता था। Here it was exactly the reverse. It was Narendra who was testing Ramakrishna Paramahamsa in various ways to see whatever he's talking is real or unreal. For example, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he could not touch money. All his disciples, they told that Ramakrishna Paramahamsa doesn't Kamini Kanchana Tyaga. That was continuous advice which Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to give to his disciples. Kamini Kanchana Tyaga. Abandoning the sex and woman and gold is to be abandoned if you want to proceed on the spiritual path. So Narendra wanted to see whether really he is able to touch the coin or not. So when he had gone for bath on the Ganges, he hid a rupee coin under his bed. And when Ramakrishna returned and sat on the bed, he sprang up as if there was a scorpion bite. जैसे को बिच्छू ने डंक मारा हो, ऐसी वेदनाएं शुरू हुई उनके शरीर में. And so his disciples checked, and then finally they found a coin under the bed. As soon as the coin was found, immediately Ramakrishna looked at Narendra and he smiled. He did not scold him or anything, he just smiled. Okay. Like that, if it is Kamini Kanchana Tyaga, Narendra wanted to know whether, because Sharadama, who was wife of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, only some 15, 16 years old, very young lady at that time. I will not go into the details of their marriage, how it happened and all that. But she was rather a disciple of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa than wife. And she had a separate room. And Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to stay at Panchavati behind Dakshineshwar. It is a Panchavati, a very beautiful place where he used to meditate for a very long time. So Narendra wanted to know whether by chance Ramakrishna goes to Sharadama's room in the night, and so he sat on a very huge tree whole night just to watch whether Ramakrishna Paramahamsa by chance goes to Sharadama's house. And early in the morning, at about 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, he found Ramakrishna coming from exactly opposite direction. He had gone to the Ganges, taken bath, and he was going to Kali temple. And on the way, he found Narendra on the tree, someone like monkey sitting there, and he smiled. He immediately understood. And then he told Narendra, yes, 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 you are very much right. You should see a sadhu in the daytime. You should see sadhu in the night time. साधु का बहुत सहवास करके अगर आपको ऐसा लगा ये साधु है तो साधु बोल के उसका स्वीकार करना चाहिए. So Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, they were never angry with Narendra at all because he was testing him. And then he had told him that he will show him God, and Narendra used to go, and many times Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to stand before Mother Kali doing puja for a long time. He used to converse with the mother. He used to tell that he is able to see Divine Mother in flesh and blood. And Narendra once told him that I think that आपको ये सब आभास हो रहे हैं, ये स्वसम्मोहन है. This is a kind of self hypnotism, and you feel that mother is talking to you, you are talking to mother. कैसे हमको मालूम पड़ेगा कि ये सच है या झूठ है? ये आपका आभास भी हो सकता है कि आप माँ के साथ बात कर रहे हैं, माँ की वाणी सुन रहे हैं. आभास भी हो सकता है. So actually, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was such a childlike saint that when Narendra spoke like this, he also said that, oh my God, Narendra is such a brilliant man, such a educated person. When he is telling something like that, is it really Am I hypnotizing myself and imagining that mother is speaking to me? Instantaneously, he went to mother, stood before mothers, and as usual, जगन्मयी माँ का दर्शन उनको हो गया और इट वाज सो क्लियर. स्माइलिंगली अगेन ही केम एंड बोले कि नहीं नहीं नहीं, तुम सच नहीं बोल रहे हो कि मदर टोल्ड मी दैट एवरीथिंग विच इज हैपनिंग टू मी इज रियल, यू आर नॉट रियली फाइंडिंग इट. देन once Narendra and Ramakrishna, they were taking bath in the Ganges together, and Narendra suddenly asked Ramakrishna Paramahansa that you had told me that you will show me God. When are you going to show me God? Okay. Without saying a single word, Ramakrishna Paramahansa held his head and pushed it under water. जैसे ही नरेंद्र ने पूछा कि कब दिखाओगे मुझे, परमेश्वर का दर्शन कब कराओगे, तो उन्होंने उनका सिर पानी के नीचे दबा दिया, बहुत देर तक दबा दिया. And then he was lifted and he said, Narendra, when you were underwater, what were your thoughts? Underwater, what were your thoughts? And then Narendra told that, what thoughts? The only thought which I had is, I want oxygen, I want air. And if I don't get air right now, I will die. That was the only thought in my mind. Then Ramakrishna told him that this is the thing. When you feel that if I don't see God, I will die, just as you are feeling now, that if I don't get air, if I don't get oxygen, I will die. In the same way, when you start feeling that if I don't see God, I will die, you will be able to see God. And then he used to tell that people cry for so many things. There are young people who are crying for girls, or girls are crying for boys. There are people who cry for money. People cry for name and fame. Who cries for God? He says sincerely from the heart, if you cry for God, for the vision of God, God is so kind that he will give you vision. From the heart it should come. So that was the advice which he gave. But once, of course, in Kosipur garden, when they were sitting, uh, and when Narendra said that I want to experience Nirvikalpa Samadhi, please give me that experience of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, then Ramakrishna Paramahansa touched him, and Swami Narendra, he gives the actual description of that particular instant. He said, as soon as he touched me, everything started whirling around me. All the trees, everything that was there in the Kosipur garden, and it started vanishing into oneness. And then he said that I found that my own existence was vanishing into the same thing. I was vanishing into that oneness. That was the experience. And he said it was a fearful experience. Swamiji says that I was thinking that Samadhi experience could be so great, Advaita experience could be so great, but when you lose your individuality, it is fearsome because you are losing yourself into that final oneness. So he actually cried. He said, enough is enough now. I want to survive. And then Ramakrishna Paramahansa touched him again and he said, okay, for the timing, this much is okay. I have given you this experience so that you need not doubt the very existence of God. But now on, I lock this experience for you because I see that you have come here with a mission. You have to teach the world. You have to awaken the people. You have to go to the people. You have to teach the whole world. That is why you are here. And unless you complete your mission, I will not give you the key back. This experience I lock for you. So that is what Ramakrishna Paramahansa told him. And afterwards also he was there for quite a long time sitting at Dakshineshwar. and other things. And he used to meditate for hours together. Hmm. And once when they were discussing, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa told him that no, you have to find ways and means to go to the people, to teach people, because the message of the Vedas and Upanishad has not reached the common man. Common man is really, he has become ritualistic. The religion is shrouded in ritualism, in false beliefs. And that is why this country has gone down. Your mission is to tell to the people the correct principles of Vedanta and all other philosophies. You have to do this work. You have to go to the people. You have to awaken the people. So once Narendra told him that, no, I am not interested in going to the people. I want to meditate. I want to get liberated. Hmm. That was the only time when Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was really angry with Narendra. And he scolded him. He said, what are you talking? You are talking about your own personal salvation when thousands of people are miserable. You are talking about personal salvation. And who are you to decide it? Mother will not allow you to decide it. You know, mother will get it done through you, whether you like it or not. You have to do it. So that is what the advice which was given by Ramakrishna Paramahamsa to Narendra, and he told that as a guru, this is my uh, मैं तुमको आज्ञा देता हूं कि तुमको लोगों के पास जाना है, हम्म, लोगों को मिलना है, लोगों को वेदांत दर्शन बताना है. And that is why after Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa took Mahasamadhi, Swami Vivekananda at that time had taken to sannyasa, and he used to change many names at that time actually. But then he thought that if I have to work for the people, I have to see the entire country, and therefore he took what is known at that time as Parivrajaka Vrata, wandering monk. He became a wandering monk. So from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, on foot, he traveled entire India. He saw all sorts of people in India. So one day he will be with a very poor person sharing his bread and talking to him. And then next day he will be with another common person, sometimes with the merchants. And sometimes he will be sitting with a prince, the prince of Khatri, was very great friend. He became very great friend. Raja of Ramnad, he became very great friend of Swami Vivekananda in the south. So sometimes with the kings, sometimes with the princes, sometimes with the farmers, sometimes with the fishermen. And he saw the pulse of India, that India, this the philosophy and religion, they are in the blood of the Indian people. That is what he perceived. And if you want to awaken India, you have to tell them the right thing in the religion. That is what he understood actually. And then with that Parivrajaka Vrata, when he traveled throughout India, he finally came to Kanyakumari. Hmm. At the southernmost tip of our country, when he visited Kanyakumari, actually there were tears in his eyes, and he was praying mother that, mother, give me guidance. What am I supposed to do for these people? How do I begin with my mission? I am not able to understand how to begin my mission. किस प्रकार मुझे जो कार्य करने के लिए मुझे मेरे गुरु ने बताया है, कार्य की शुरुआत मैं कहाँ से करूं, मुझे कुछ भी नहीं समझ में आ रहा है. So at Kanyakumari he prayed Divine Mother like anything, and when he came out he saw the huge rock, and he was told that it was on this rock that Mother Parvati herself, she stood on one leg for thousands of years to meditating on Shiva, to meet Shiva. So it was very sacred rock. Swamiji had no money to travel to the rock to give to the boatman. So he simply jumped into the ocean, swam across the sea, reached the rock, and for 3 days and 3 nights he was sitting at the feet of the mother. There is a footprint of the mother on the rock. कन्याकुमारी देवी का पग चिन्ह उस शिला पर है, इसलिए वो शिला पर अभी स्मारक बना हुआ है. द फेमस विवेकानंद शिला स्मारक which you get at Kanyakumari is there. So at that time it was only a rock, and that was the footprint of the mother was there. So for 3 days and 3 nights he was in meditation, and probably for the first time in the history of India, a sannyasi was meditating not on Brahman, Atman, or self-realization or such spiritual subjects. He was meditating on his country and his people. And what I have to do for this country. The entire history of the country passed across his eyes during that meditation. And on the third day, he had a vision of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. And Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was pointing towards west, clearly telling him that he has to begin his mission from the west. And at the Lockwood Heights, that was the time when at Chicago, there was a religious conference, सर्व धर्म सम्मेलन अमेरिका में, शिकागो में उसी समय ऑर्गेनाइज हुआ था. And then there was a very clear indication to Ramakrishna, to Swami Vivekananda, that he has to go to the West and represent India or represent Hinduism in the Parliament of Religions at Chicago. Okay. Now, he had a disciple whose name was Alasinga Perumal. Actually, you should read Alasinga Perumal's biography also. It's a wonderful thing. And the letters written by Swami Vivekananda to Alasinga Perumal, they're all very wonderful. We don't have time to discuss that. But Alasinga was only 25 years old boy. And when Swamiji told him that if I have to represent India in the Parliament of Religions at Chicago, the money should come from the common man. So you have to go from door to door, explain to them that Swami wants to go there and collect money, 1 rupee, 2 rupees, 3 rupees. And then if there is sufficient money and if you can buy ticket, I will go. Otherwise, Swami Vivekananda at that time knew the king of Ramnad, he knew Maharaja of Khatri, so many rich people, anybody would have purchased ticket for him. But then he said, no, if I have to go to the West to represent India, money should come from common man. That was also the principle which was adopted when Vivekananda Rock Memorial was constructed by the great person, Eknath Ranade. They also went from people to people, collecting 1 rupee coupons at that time. The money for Vivekananda Rock Memorial was collected throughout India. The message had come from Vivekananda himself. If Vivekananda is hero of the all common people of India, money should come from the common people of India. That was the philosophy which was adopted by Eknathji Ranade at that time itself. So money was collected and he went to the West, but there was absolutely no money with him, and he had to spend very cold night in a wagon in the West. There were no proper clothing with him. Nobody. He in India, a sannyasi can survive because somebody or the other will give bread and butter to sannyasi. But in the West, there was nothing like begging or anything, and he was wandering on the streets he had no letter of recommendation from any institute that he is representing India and all that, and very horrible time he had in America in the beginning, and he was really frustrated for some time, and no food, no place to stay. And one day he was very tired and he sat uh, besides a street, and he prayed Ramakrishna and he said that why you brought me here? What am I going to do here? I don't have anything. As soon as he prayed, the door opened from the front side and a woman came, and she said that are you a sannyasi and have you come here for the Parliament of Religions at Chicago? Swamiji thought that, my goodness, this is how Ramakrishna Paramahamsa works. And she took him to her house. He took rest there, he took food there, and that lady, she knew one Mr. Wright, who was organizer at the Parliament of Religions of Chicago. He was a great professor. Many of the books which we read, books of Swami Vivekananda, it was Professor Wright who had taken shorthand notes of that. At that time, there were not record players and recording and all that. So, thanks to him that we are able to read so many books like Raja Yoga and so many, 10 volumes. Swami Vivekananda's 10 volumes have been created. Many of them were noted down, all those lectures by Professor Wright. So he came and he met him, and 15-20 minutes when Swami Vivekananda spoke to him, he knew that he is extraordinary person. Able to hear me? Please, somebody tell me, because
Yes, sir.
unmute
Yes,
has
sir.
come.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Because
Audible.
Yes, sir.
the
Yes.
message came here that it is unmute. So I had just asked. Okay. So they wrote to the organizers of Chicago that here is a man who is extraordinary philosopher, and uh, the language which he used at that time is, all the professors in America, if they come together, they will not be able to defeat this man, Swami Vivekananda. And if he doesn't speak at the Parliament of Religions in Chicago, what is the use of such congregations at all? And that is how Swami Vivekananda could enter into the Parliament of Religions in Chicago. And when he went there, there were so many scholars had come to Chicago. It was in September, and Swami Vivekananda, that epoch-making speech which he delivered at Chicago was on 11 September 1863. Okay, so 1893, I'm sorry, 11 September 1893, that famous Chicago address was given. There was a huge gathering, and Cardinal Gibbons, he was in the chair, and the people or representatives of all the religions from all over the world had gathered together at Chicago, reading the papers. They had printed papers with them. Swamiji had nothing with him at all. So now and then Cardinal Gibbons will say that, Swami, now you speak. Swamiji would say, no, later on, and something like that. He was the 24th speaker at the Parliament of Religions. And when that time came, Cardinal Gibbons said that, Swami, now or never, please go to the podium and speak. And Swamiji said that when I approached this podium, I had no idea what I am going to speak. No idea at all. And when he reached the podium, he just prayed Goddess Saraswati. And rest of the thing just happened. He just said sisters and brothers of America. And something happened. So thousands of people in the audience, they stood on their feet. There was a standing ovation. There was clapping and clapping and clapping for so much of time. What he had spoken was just sisters and brothers of America. But those words had come from a mouth of a yogi. There was a sort of electric shock. It was a spiritual experience which they got. Many of the people started coming to the stage. They did not know what happened to them. And when Swamiji spoke, instantaneously he became world famous with one 2 minute speech at Chicago. Very famous speech. Some of the lines in those speech is this. Swamiji began by saying that it fills my heart with joy unspeakable as I rise in response to the warm and cordial response which you have given us. I thank you in the name of the most ancient order of monks in the world. I thank you in the name of mother of religions. And I thank you in the name of millions and millions of Indians of all caste and creed. Very thrilling speech he gave. And then he gave the message of universal religion. Just as the different streams having their sources at different places all mingle their water into the sea, so, O Lord, the different paths which men take with different tendencies, various though they appear, crooked or straight, all come to thee. And at the end of the speech, he said that the bell that tolled this morning in the honor of this convention may prove to be the death knell of all fanaticism, of all ill will between the people mending their way to the same goal. Swami Vivekananda, next day, all over Chicago, there were posters of Swami Vivekananda, and below that, Cyclonic Hindu monk. The tag which was written, Cyclonic Hindu monk. He had become world famous. And then he had a whirlwind tour of America, giving speeches on all the religions. Even in that parliament of religions, he spoke on Buddhism. He spoke on any philosophy. Actually, one of the things, we don't have much time. I am aware of the time. I will stop at 6 o'clock for sure. Uh, Once he was called to a congregation of the priests, Christian priests. Hmm. And he spoke about Christianity in that congregation. And it was so overwhelming. And they were so captivated, so fascinated by listening to Swamiji, that one of them asked that, how is it, Swamiji, that you are able to speak on any religion, on any philosophy, without any preparation, and so in depth, because today we have understood what is real Christianity after listening to you. Then Swami Vivekananda told them that much before I spoke at the Parliament of Religions at Chicago, I had the opportunity to sit at the feet of a man who himself was Parliament of Religions. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he had practiced all the religions, practically all the sadhana he had done. He had the vision of Christ. He had practiced Islam. When he was practicing Islam, 5 times he will offer namaz. He was living like a Sufi saint. He had practiced Pancha Mahabhavas, all the religions. And it was his practical experience that all religions lead to the same goal. And that was the universal religion which Swami Vivekananda spoke about at the Parliament of Religions in Chicago. And there the Renaissance started. There they knew that India is a country of very great cultural heritage. There are Upanishads, there is the Bhagavad Gita, and that is how they got acquainted with the Indian religion. And Swami Vivekananda also, he wanted that just as our spirituality has to go to the West, the Western science has to come to the East. He wanted a very fine blend of East and West, very fine cultural blend of East and West. That is what he wanted. And that is why, and one of the things which he appreciated about the West is the principle of organization. How many types of programs were arranged? You will be surprised how this person could day and night work and giving talks at all times, collecting money for the poor, for the downtrodden in India, you know. So organization, what was Swamiji found, once Mrs. Snow, one of his, there were so many American disciples of Swami Vivekananda. So once after a very long tour, he came back and he used to call that Mrs. Snow as mother. So he said, Mother, I have fallen in love today. And she was so surprised. He said that, who is that lucky lady? He said, no, 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 it is not lady. It is the principle of organization which is there in the West. I have fallen in love with this. This is what we lack. This is what we, the Indian, lack. We have everything, we don't have organized activity. And that is why he came here to India and he formed Ramakrishna Mission, an order of sannyasis. Sannyasis at that time who were supposed to go only into the meditation, they have nothing to. Many of the sannyasis will think that going to the society is a sin and you degrade yourself by going to the people. So best way is to withdraw to the Himalayas, to the solitude and meditate and all that. But he formed Ramakrishna Mission, hmm, and spiritually oriented service mission. That was his idea. And he said to the sannyasis that you have to go to the people, you have to educate them. And what we have to do with the people, he used to say that go to the people, go to the villages where people, they gather in the evening under the banyan trees and smoke away their times. There you see, there you sit, take a globe there, explain to them how is the world, teach them, make them literate. That was the thing. Go to the people. Continuous message of going to the people, serving the people. You know how sannyasi should be. With great effort, he could establish that Belur Mutt, very great monastery. If you have not seen it, you should go and see it. That is the only place which you can see in Calcutta right now. Otherwise, Calcutta is not worth visiting, if you ask me very frankly. But Belur Mutt is something extraordinary where you can feel the spiritual vibrations even now. Now, when he had gone for his second visit to the West, to America and European countries, that was when there was a very great epidemic in Calcutta and in the rest of the country. Thousands of people started dying. And from America, Swami Vivekananda sent a telegram to his disciples. Then now, right now, service to the people is the only motive which you should, that is the only sadhana which you should have. Go and serve the people, give them medicine, hmm, in every way. And then one of his disciples, he sent another telegram to him that we want to serve, we understand your message, but there is no money. What to do about it? There is no money to even to buy medicine. What is to be done? Swami Vivekananda said another message. This is what sannyasi means. He said, if there is no money, sell Belur Mutt. Sell Belur Mutt, but you should have serve the people. Of course, he could get a lot of funds later on, and he really started his work. So this is the message which he has given at all times. Uh, the time is approaching. We don't have, but two more things I would like to tell. He met two great people on his way, which has born a lot of renaissance. He wanted that science should come to India. He met Jamshedji Bhai Tata, the great Tata, when he was going from Japan on a boat from Yokohama to Vancouver. When he was traveling, he met that great Tata, and Tata was highly impressed by him. Anybody who would be with Swami Vivekananda will be totally inspired. And he said that I want to do something for this country. What I should do? He says, establish an institution for scientific research. That is how the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, that is the thing which was shown by Swami Vivekananda. And then Tata said that you have to guide me. Then Swami Vivekananda had no time at that time. He was whirlwind tour and all. So he advised Sister Nivedita, his British disciple, Margaret Alva, her name was. She became Sister Nivedita. So he advised Sister Nivedita to coordinate with Tata to establish a scientific institution in India. That was one of the things which I wanted to tell you before I stop. And another incident is Swami Vivekananda gave a very beautiful lecture in Harvard University in USA. And it was about Indian Vedic cosmology. On Vedic cosmology, he gave a very beautiful lecture in Harvard University trying to establish a relationship between matter and energy. It was not established at that time. The Einstein's theory of E equal to mc square had not come into existence at that time. At that time, Swami Vivekananda told that there is a relationship between matter and energy. And one great physicist, Nikola Tesla, he was in the audience at that time. He was a great scientist. And after the lecture, he came to Swamiji and he says, oh, it is very fascinating that matter and energy should be. And I feel as a physicist, Nikola Tesla is the first man, first scientist who had the electric motor. If you go, you can see. And the Tesla car, which you are talking about nowadays, the latest, it is in his name. So he came to Swamiji and he said that I think I will be able to prove mathematically the relationship between matter and energy. And Swami Vivekananda wrote to one of his disciples in India that I am very happy that Tesla says that he will be able to establish the relationship between matter and energy. And I am happy if he does that, I will be able to teach Vedanta scientifically to the people. That is why I am happy. Tesla couldn't do it, and Einstein really established it in 1905. But before that, in 1902, Swami Vivekananda passed away. So the great thing which Swamiji, great vision which he had given, almost 6 o'clock, but his message is written in one of his poems. He had given a message of Karma Yoga. Finally, go to the people, his guru had said. And so with that poem, I think I will end my speech. And if there are questions, or if there is time, we can go do that. But I am seeing the watch, it is 6, and so I think I should stop here. Uh, so this poem is called as the living God. Swami Vivekananda was a great poet. If you are interested in his poem, In Search of God is a very beautiful book of poems which has been produced. So one such poem is The Living God. What Swami Vivekananda was telling is that what when gods you worship in the temples, in the churches, and in the mosque, when this living God, the Janata Janardana, is suffering. So Janata Janardana, the people, he used to call it as a living God. He said that is the only God for me. That is the God which you should worship. And on that God, he has written this poem. I will just say this and then we shall stop. So what he says is, he who is in you and outside you, who works through all hands, who walks on all feet, whose body are all ye, him worship, break all other idols. He who is at once the high and the low, the sinner and the saint, both God and worm, him worship, visible, knowable, real, omnipresent, break all other idols. So that is how the poem goes. And Swami Vivekananda, because of his guru's message, he says that I do not want mukti, I do not want liberation. May I be born again and again and suffer millions of miseries till the last jiva on the earth is suffering. So that is the message which Swami Vivekananda has given. That is the message for the youth. If you are working for this country, if you are working for the people, work can be anything. To teach a person who is illiterate to go to the hospital and ask the people who do not have anybody to care for, or to give food to the hungry, anything which you can feel you can do. If you do it, you are working for the living God. That is the message which Swami Vivekananda has given. So thank you once again for inviting me on this very auspicious occasion, allowing me to remember Swami Vivekananda, who is at my heart. Thank you so much. Uh, we shall stop here for the prayer of Swami Vivekananda as well as Ramakrishna.